one time we rented it to a Saudi Arabian family, and they had armed guards with machine guns posted around the house.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was a lot to manage, though. It was definitely a lot of work. But like Dino said, in summer, we had maybe 4 days the whole summer it wasn't rented. And the weekends, it was rented every single weekend. And basically, if you rented it one weekend, pretty much, you paid for your whole month expense.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the Mike and Jake show. We got Dino, we got Kevin, and Jake. How are you doing, Jake? Dino and Kevin, I've known for a little bit, probably Kevin, maybe 20 years, no?
Yeah, at least that.
And Dino, I know for 20 years, but he didn't know I knew him. But we won't get into that. But
Right.
yeah, so today we're gonna talk to them. They went from renting cars to renting houses, flipping houses. I think you guys said you were doing Airbnb the last time we talked privately.
Yep.
Yep.
So we're gonna get into that. Why don't you guys actually, both of you, each of you, say how you got started in the business? Did you go into renting right away? Did you flip? How'd you just get into real estate? So give us a breakdown, how you started. Who actually started first, Kevin or Dino?
That was me.
Yeah, and then you took Kevin on your tails, huh?
That's right.
Yeah.
Now I'm on his tails.
Yeah, yeah, he's kicking ass. But let's go. Introduce yourselves. Tell us your story, how you got started on the first one, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, Kevin Kaloji. So I've been doing it since 2014. It was a long time coming. So I went to college like most people. I graduated from King's with a business degree. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. Put my resume on monster.com, which was the big job site 100 years ago. And the first company that called me, I set up an interview with them and started working with them. I was with them for ended up being 18 years. But throughout that process, this guy next to me, he ended up being my first boss. So I worked with him for a couple of years. He moved up the ladder pretty quick, but then eventually we started working together again. And he dabbled in real estate, and I didn't know much about it. I actually didn't know anything about it. I just knew that people were doing. I still don't know too much, but I just heard people were doing pretty well at it, and it always intrigued me, even though I didn't really know much. And for years, Dino was trying to get me to start off with a rental property, and I was hesitant in doing it. And eventually, after about 2 years, my wife said, just buy one. And this was again in 2014. So I went on Zillow and I typed in a search engine of an area that I was looking to get a property in. And the first thing that popped up was a double block in Ashley that was on the market over a year. And it was listed for $31,000. So I said, oh, this looks like it's a pretty good one. So I called the agent up, set up a showing, went that week, looked at it, made an offer, and that was my first one. It was that easy. So
What'd you pay for it?
I paid $27,500, and it was a 3-bedroom on one side and 2-bedroom on the other.
Was it livable?
It was barely livable.
Dino
Dino might not agree with that.
So you started off as a slumlord.
I did, and I continue as one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what got it started. And then I started off just doing primarily rentals for the first few years. And then I dabbled into the flips. And then we worked our way into the short-term rentals. And now I do a combination of all three.
And how many rentals you have?
I have 55 right now, 55 doors.
Are they your own, or you're combined with Dino, or?
They're my own. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's where you're at now.
Yep.
Now let's hear Dino's story.
Yeah, it's similar actually,
Yeah.
because you get out of school, you get out of college, you don't know what you want to do. We were fortunate to get into a pretty good company, move our way up. And I think for me, it was probably 2008 when the world collapsed a little bit. I think it was my first time in the grown-up world where people losing jobs and you're like, wow, like this could be real. So you got a really good paying job, but it could be gone the next day. So for me, I just wanted to find out, how could I supplement that? How could I shore myself up for the next time? And it took a couple years, but I got into it I think I bought my first one probably in 2009, 2010, but I didn't know what I was doing. I rented it to somebody from work, didn't charge them nearly enough. They stayed there longer than they should have, ended up selling it as soon as they moved out because I'm like, man, that sucked. But then I got back into it. I think I opened the business in 2012 and just went crazy. That's back when you could get some really good deals on some properties. And that's Kevin came in shortly thereafter. Yeah, we're into the low 30s. For us, we sold a few off. So that's why we're at that number. But yeah, it's been cool. It's been a cool journey, just learning the whole game of it, and having your own properties and fixing them up. I think that's the coolest thing. And then it brought us to other things. It brought us to building houses. It brought us to Airbnb, short-term rentals. We bought factory buildings. Yeah, you're willing to tackle anything, but it's been really good to us.
So what actually? So you had no mentor or nothing. You were just in
I had
2000.
mentors, so I had to learn everything.
Yeah,
I had to go out and find out how to get insurance on these things. I had to learn how to buy them. I was doing Burr before it was even a thing. And I
yeah,
remember like 6 years later, people were like, "Oh, it's the Burr method." I'm like, "Huh? I didn't even know what that was."
yeah,
But it was cool. So Kevin, as soon as he came into it, he just got everything. She's like, "I
yeah.
need
He
somebody to
was.
do
That's
this." I'm like, "Oh,
It
here
was
you go,
beautiful.
Kevin."
yeah. Dino got all bruised up, and Kevin just walks in. All
Yeah,
right, let's go. Hey, it worked out though. So you
that's
can't.
right.
Yeah, I had to learn too on my own, and then my kids and whoever else is behind me, whatever, they got the easy path.
Yep,
If they
exactly.
don't realize how hard it was, it's always the hardest part is making that first. Do you remember your first deal, Dino? Yeah, I'm going to buy
I
this out.
do.
Let me hear
Yeah,
about it real quick.
I didn't even know how that one. I worked a deal out on that one where I didn't even pay for it. I went to the owner and worked out a deal where they held paper for 5 years, and I ended up buying it after a year from them. But I went into it with nothing that I
So
bought.
you already knew how to do that before you even on your
Yeah, and
first.
I don't even know. I just went to him and asked, so I didn't even know it was a thing,
So that
and
was
it
your
actually
first
worked
deal.
out.
That was
Yeah,
your first one. That's
yeah,
awesome.
that's pretty cool. His first one, he's got owner financing.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Do you still have that property?
I just sold it last year.
Did you?
I,
Well,
I
Is that the
did.
triple?
That's the triple yellow one. Yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess it paid well. That's why you
It,
sold it.
that was a cash cow. That one too.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't the prettiest. He makes fun of me for the houses I get.
Yeah,
You should have
that
seen
was the
this thing.
Kaloji home. I just couldn't do it anymore. I'm only kidding, Kevin.
What, it have no heat?
No, it had heat,
It
man.
wasn't pretty.
It's just like dirt floors in the basement. Just it was at a point where you had to go dump 150 to 200 into it or sell it, and prices were high, so we decided to sell.
Yeah, that's what I did too. I had stuff that had to fix up. I had to change like old knob and tube, and you know what? I was like, yeah, I'm not even going. I'll just sell it now because the prices went crazy.
Yep.
I'm selling, and that's what I
Yeah.
did.
Absolutely.
Jake, you have any questions?
Yeah. So you guys, so you both are working full time still?
No, I've been just doing this full time for going on about 4 years now. Dino primarily, his other job is his main thing, and he still does a little on the side.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still employed, but like I said, the machine's going right. So now it's
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah,
Like you don't even have to be involved. So everything I do is I text Kevin and say, "Hey, go look at this house for me. Let me
that,
know if I should buy it."
so do you have a property manager or you manage yourself?
I don't because you have people that do work for you. So if a
Mm.
tenant messages something, literally I send it to my wife and she'll send the plumber, she'll send the electrician, whoever it is. Yeah.
So really, your
No,
wife's the property
my
manager.
wife. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome. That's a good setup you guys have going on. That's
yeah,
really
that is a good setup. And then Kevin, you when did you decide to quit? Was it COVID or you was like, hey, listen, I got so many rentals now. I'm bringing in all this money. I'm really tired of going to this crappy job.
Yeah, it was a
that's,
combination of things. So I was after I got the first few rentals, I started really ramping things up once I got a taste of it. And then as things started to progress, I think my previous company had enough of my services and I had enough of theirs. So it was a mutual thing, but
Yeah.
the time was right
Hey,
and
they were great to you, both of you.
they were amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great company. It treated me well. I couldn't have asked for a better place to work and it positioned me to where I'm at today. Definitely grateful for the experience.
So then you just said, hey, I'm just cutting ties now.
Yeah, once you get on your own, it's tough to go back. So it's all or nothing. I tell my wife, we're either going to be homeless or we're going to do okay, but there's nothing in the middle at this
I
point.
figured I could always just live at one of my rental properties. Times are
That's
bad.
true.
Throw the tenant out. Y'all moving in.
That's true.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
So how
yeah.
about this Airbnb stuff that you guys are doing? You were talking about.
So we had, I don't know if you want to tell them about Lake Harmony.
Yeah. We got it. I don't remember the year, but I just remember somebody telling us that market's hot, and I didn't know why. It took probably getting the first one to figure out why that place is so good. It's an all year thing, right? So you got a lot of Airbnbs might be hot for summer and then they're dead the rest of the year. This thing every season there's something to do up there. So my brother and I, he does real estate too. We bought the first one together. We bought a 6 bedroom, 3 bath. It was already built. It was already producing probably for 3 years when we bought it. And the numbers were low, but it was self-sustaining. So I'm like, all right, let's do it. So we bought it. And literally that first year, we doubled the revenues that this property management company was doing. And we didn't do anything special to the home. We didn't change it. We just marketed it better. We were really responsive to requests. And I think that's really the only thing that turned it. So that first year, we doubled the revenue. It was going really good. I remember telling him about it. I think you even came up once and we're like, man, let's get a big one. And the biggest ones up there at that time were our size houses, the 6 bedrooms. So we actually ended up building a 9 bedroom, 6 bath, Lakeview, not on the water, but right across the street. And we're one of the first ones up there. And when we built it, the whole area knew we built it because it was impressive.
What do they call it? Studio 54?
Studio 54, because that's right when COVID hit. Actually, right when we were building it, we got shut down during COVID. So we had to stop building it for a couple months, 2 months. But then they let us turn it back on, completed it right after, and then it went crazy. And I think what was happening, now that we look back, we talk about it and laugh all the time, but I think because all the clubs and everything in New York were shut down,
Yeah.
renting our house at ridiculous prices, mind you. And then I think they were selling tickets to come there and party because it was amazing. Like the parties were, people up there told us that our place was better than Nick's Lake House, and they would have bands out back. And I think that's why the whole town ended up hating us.
Yeah, I think our second rental, there was blow up dolls involved.
Yeah.
And then from that point, the township called us and said, all right, something, you guys got to calm it down a little bit. And then the one thing that we realized too, when you raise your prices, you get a different clientele.
Absolutely.
So we did raise our price point and it did calm down after that.
So do you have limits? Do you say, hey, there's 6 bedrooms, I allow 12 people, or
Kevin had zero limits. He was in charge of
free for
taking the
all.
bookings.
He's a
As long as they had
slumlord. Yeah, I understand.
But this thing slept 28.
28 is what we advertised.
Yeah.
Wow.
28.
Wow.
Yeah. It had a bar outside that sat 28. Like it was
A bar.
an outside bar
It stayed booked year round.
all year long.
Jake,
Dude,
you gotta check this
I'm
out.
telling you, when
Yeah.
we first got into that house, Jake, the thing could not, it was on wells up there. It couldn't produce enough water. I literally was just talking to somebody about this weekend, why they hated us. Another reason. It could not fill the well up quick enough to take care of all the people in the home that we parked a semi-trailer next to the house and backfed the house with water. There was a truck on the side of the house. So.
Hey, that's a good problem to have, though.
Yeah.
It's a stressful problem when you have 20 people in a house.
I would have just rented the fire department.
What's that?
Just rent the fire department. So I need the truck here on the weekend. Fill it up.
Yeah, that's true. That's good.
That's the thing, though. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
It happens.
You're getting paid pretty good money for a place that holds 28 people.
Yeah, we learned a lot.
Yeah, we get 2 to 3 families would rent it.
Yeah.
We had some crazy renters. I remember one time we rented it to a Saudi Arabian family and they had armed guards with machine guns posted around the house.
Yeah.
And it was a lot to manage though. It was definitely a lot of work, but like Dino said, in summer we had maybe 4 days, the whole summer it wasn't rented. And the weekends, it was rented every single weekend. And basically if you rented it one weekend, pretty much you paid for your whole month expense. So it worked out really well. And then we ended up selling it.
You sold it?
We did about a year and a half maybe after we owned it.
Yeah, it was a little over
2 years. Yeah.
That's why you're smiling. That's a big house.
You got to remember that was back when you could build a house. We built it ourselves. You could control costs and keep things down, and that was before everybody got into the COVID pricing after. So we hit it at perfect timing, actually.
Yeah, when we were doing it, they just released their covenant to allow 9 bedrooms. It was 6, and then we were one of the first houses to do a 9, and now they're doing 10. Oh, wow. And you need to have an indoor pool to really stand out. So they really upped it there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Wow.
That's all right.
Stuff is going on. This is great. This is cool. Yeah. That's awesome. I didn't know that type of clientele was coming out there. That's amazing.
It's all Philadelphia and New York.
Yeah.
It's probably 80% of it.
That's just that area.
Mm-hmm.
Is that close to Lake Wallenpaupack?
It's about an hour away.
Yeah.
So this is straight out 80, but like before you, almost by Mount Pocono.
Yeah. Okay.
If you know where the racetrack is, it's right by the racetrack by Long Pond.
So you have the ski resorts during the winter. That's why people would rent. In the summer, you have the lake.
Yeah. But that's the same. That's the same with Lake Wallenpaupack and all that. It's all New Yorkers, Philadelphia. They don't mind paying. Even that's where I build a lot of my houses, and we get double over there compared to what I would get over here in Luzerne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like that clientele. I like that area.
So you guys both got started like at the right time, the time that you want to get started, right after '08. Prices were still down. You said, Kevin, the first property you bought was 27K. So when you see the prices nowadays, like, how are you finding deals right now?
Yeah, obviously make more connections. I'm a realtor too. Sometimes if realtors have something coming up that they'll let me know about it, but also getting a network of wholesalers, working with them, and just creating contacts. It's a lot more difficult now, for sure. I don't do marketing or any of that, and I know it's a good thing to do, but it's not something I never got into. But really, it's just the network of people that are around you. But what I see stuff selling for now, even at tax sales and on the MLS, I just can't do it. And even though people perceive it as a good deal, and obviously we're not going to get the 30, 35K houses anymore, but paying 90 to 120,000 for rental just doesn't make sense for me.
It's like 125 a door.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah,
it
I
is
see
crazy.
them sell for 100 a door in Luzerne and Lackawanna County, and it's wow, it's crazy.
Yeah, and people are paying for it, but it's hard for me to even think about it. I don't see it.
Yeah.
So is that why you guys kind of shifted to Airbnbs a little bit more to try to generate more revenue, or what got you into
I
there?
think we flipped to more flipping houses with this because you could still find deals at certain price points that make sense that a lot of people can't go and snatch up and then go ahead and rehab the whole thing. So I think for me, that's what I did. But
Yeah, really, it's just whatever opportunity comes your way. I'm at the point now where I just want to do anything that's exciting, anything fun or different, whether it's building a nice house and do short-term rentals, or even trying to look for something out of the area, maybe that you can Airbnb in a southern state, where a place that you'd want to vacation with your family and then use that, something that's exciting, really.
So you're thinking about that next?
Yeah, I've been looking for that. Me and Dino talk about it a lot too, different places in Florida or even Lake Harmony again, or wherever the next big opportunity goes. And another thing we're looking at is neither of us ever had a big apartment complex or anything like that. That's something that we've always been looking into to doing.
Do you want to partner up, or you just want a syndication, or is just you two gonna take over a complex?
We've talked about syndication before, but I think we're comfortable working together
yeah,
after doing it so long.
Yeah, find like a nice 32 unit or something like that
yeah,
scattered around.
exactly.
Or you
That'd
just
be,
build them, Kevin. Just build them. Get a piece of property and start building 4 units.
I think we just got to pull the trigger. I
yeah.
think that's the thing is we talked about this one for a little bit. We don't normally wait that long, but my wife's been on me too. She's like, "Why don't you just do this already?" And I'm like, "All right,
Hey, when you got that kind of support, just write the
yeah,
check. Let's
yeah,
do it.
yeah."
Yeah. Yeah,
So
my wife, she's definitely been very supportive too. In the beginning, we'd talk about things like, hey, you think I should do this or not? Now she has no idea what I'm buying, where the properties are. And I'm like, if I pass away, you probably should know a little of this.
if everyone's screwed, I'm like, there's a bunch of keys at the front door. I got this box. I don't know what anything is. The
You
handyman, I'm
couldn't
like,
even read his handwriting to find out where the properties are.
No, it would
It'd be like
be
a
ugly.
scavenger.
yeah, you got to look up my corporations to find actually what I own.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
So
Now
when you,
flipping.
oh, sorry, I wanted to ask about go back to that new build that you guys did because that was your first one, right? That 9 bedroom, that was your first.
That was the first new build, yeah, that we did.
So
That's a big. How many square feet?
yeah.
I forget what it was, 5,000. It was just built right
It
though.
was just under
Yeah,
5,000.
it was built right though. The way it was laid out, it really worked for that
So
amount.
a
Yeah.
mansion for your first one. So what gave you the ability to think that you could do that?
I've had the construction background, so all through college and stuff, I worked construction. Now I know that doesn't make you an expert, but I've been around it enough to know what the processes are, that what you need to do for excavation, what you need to do for concrete. So, like for me, I felt really comfortable with that. Of course, Kevin still didn't even know how to put down flooring yet at that point, but he's willing
I
to
could
do
paint.
but he's willing to do anything.
Yeah.
He'll jump in head first and figure it out. And that's the cool thing is that we just tag team because I still work. I was at work during the day. Kevin was up there. I'd come up on weekends and nights. And we had a really good crew. We met a really good contact during that. Our framer, we still use them today. Actually, Kevin's using them right now. So it was really neat.
What are you building right now, Kevin?
I'm building a house in Lily Lake,
Oh, that's right.
out in Wapalpin, yeah, to do a long-term rental at. It was a mistake. It was a mistake of mine. So I purchased a house next to a house that I own. The house came available, and it turned out that the foundation was worse than we thought. In fact, there wasn't a foundation. So we ended up having to knock the house down and build one. But it's a beautiful area right across from the lake. So this is something I've never done before. But again, it's something that I was always looking to do. So we're at the framing process of it right now.
It's exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
between you and my friend, you guys own half the lake over there. You and Eric.
Yeah, Eric, yeah.
Yeah, he has those two houses right there at the one side of the lake. Are you on the other side of the lake?
I'm not actually, he's renovating one now for himself, and I'm 2 houses away.
Oh.
I see him there quite a bit.
Yeah. He's going to live there.
Yep.
That's what he says. He says he's downsizing. I can't wait to see the downsize.
Yeah, he did downsize for
Yeah,
sure,
did.
but it's looking good. He's doing a good job.
Good for him. I got to call him.
You said you're doing flips mostly now. When did you make that shift? Once prices started going crazy, like during COVID times, or?
Yeah, for me, it was right before COVID. With the rentals, there's a certain price point where it doesn't make sense. But with the flips, there really isn't that price point. It really comes down to what's the margins at, what can I get when I sell it type of thing. So $120,000 to $140,000 house, I'm not looking at for a rental. But I was noticing, man, there's a lot of like $160,000 houses that are on the market right now that are really $300,000 houses. And it seems like everybody's targeting that $50,000 to $60,000 house. So I saw like a little niche there, and they really started to focus on that area. So that's what made me kind of transition over to the flips, and started getting, even at that point, a little bit more difficult to get rentals. It got more competitive from a lot of out-of-state investors coming in. So the thing too with that is it's nice having the monthly cash flow from the rentals, but the bigger chunks of change with the flips is a good balance of that.
It's a one check. It makes you smile.
Yeah,
And then you could overpay for a rental.
exactly.
Me, I just started doing new construction, or the modular world we went into, because I couldn't find the good flips for me. And I was like, man, I can't find flips. Everyone's overpaying. I'm just going to create my own. And that's how I started.
Smart. That's smart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because now I got total control. I know what everything costs. We bang them out in 4 months and they're sold.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my deal.
We talked about that too, the modular. We just never
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah, Kevin talked to me before
That'll
too.
be next.
But it's cool. The house comes in what? 2 months, your house is there, your foundation's there, it's 80% complete. Another month of finishing up, getting permits, just having the town come check everything, hook up the electric, plumbing, and it's livable,
Yeah.
which is
How's
nuts.
the pricing? How's the pricing on that? Is
Oh, it's
that
great. It's
comparable to stick build or
yeah,
better?
we pay about $3 a square foot. No. Yeah, it's you know what? It's done quicker. I was just
Yeah.
going over with Jake. People think you could get cheaper, right? You can get a modular company that sells you cheap. They do 24 on center. It's just cheap. I don't want that. So I prefer, we're pretty much close to a stick built, but
I
it's
think the modular homes that are done right, I think could be better than stick built
far
because
better.
most houses can't stand in pieces on their own.
No.
Modular could.
Yeah. So mine resist the wind, the snow loads, hurricanes, earthquakes. They got to travel down the road. They use 20 to 30% more lumber than the regular stick built, right? So realistically, that house would cost me 2 times the amount if I had the stick builder put as much wood as they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I grew up framing, so I'm definitely biased to like stick build, but I think modular is probably the future for sure. Because you can order everything at scale and get your pricing down, and then build everything in the factory and then just ship it out. So I think that's probably going to solve if you can make a house affordable, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, enough of modular.
Yeah, you guys are both in the car business. You were both in the rental car business together.
Yes.
And then you got do you think like that customer service background, because Dino, like you did a seller finance deal and you didn't even know what it was, but it sounds like you just talked to the seller and worked it out. So do you think that customer service background and that sales background helped with real estate, was able to apply to real estate?
Oh, absolutely. I think that it helped me in every facet of it, right? I remember back even when I didn't know better that you should work with multiple banks and not just one bank. Like I'll give you a story where when we were really running fast with buying rental properties, at one point the bank put a pause on me and I'm like, why are you pausing me? And I said, they're like, my credit's great, my cash flow is great, my finances, everything's great. I'm like, we just need to slow it down. And I just couldn't figure it out why you're slowing me down. So I actually requested a meeting with their president of the bank. So he came up from Harrisburg to meet with me. And I think that having the experience in the business world, which what I did every day was meet with presidents of companies and stuff, helped me with that because I was able to walk through with them specifically what I was doing, what my margins were, what it looked like. That by the end of that meeting, he opened it back up. Now, what I realized is that you need multiple banks. And then I figured out that some banks, they hit their limits, they got to pull back on the reins. So got to go to another bank, and every bank goes through that cycle. Yeah, I think it helped, at least helped me a lot. And I think in the Airbnbs, Kevin was our hospitality manager
All
at the
5-star reviews.
Hey, that makes a big
Hospitality.
difference, dude. That
It's
5-star, people
huge.
look at that.
Oh yeah,
It's huge.
absolutely.
That's everything in the short-term rental space, right? Is your
It is.
Did
Yeah,
you
but that background was gigantic because each of us were managing anywhere from 80 to 100 people. And even from a tenant standpoint, if you're people complain, oh, it's so hard. How you dealing with all these tenants? Dealing with 20 or 30 tenants is nothing. Dealing with 80 to 100 employees that are calling off and then dealing with their personal issues. And then you got to deal with the customers on top of it.
listen, I've been there. Them customers are horrible. Hey, I need your
Yeah.
driver's license. I need a credit card. I'm going to take $350 deposit. And people are like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
and you guys, Kevin, I seen Kevin in action. He was always cool. Yeah, no problem.
yeah,
Okay.
it sounds like it gave you guys the confidence to just get in there and be able to do what you did. It's pretty impressive. It's cool. It's awesome.
Thanks, Jake.
Nah, Jay, he likes that stuff.
So,
It's
so
awesome.
why should people use multiple banks, real quick? Because you touched on that.
I think what I found out is like everybody knows what the lending power of the bank is, right? So if you deposit a buck, they could lend what 10 times that. So I think once they get close to those margins, I think they pull back what they loan out for real estate. I really do. And so I've seen it a couple of times come up where one bank will start dragging their feet or they'll start doing little things that make it a little more complicated for you. And then you just switch to another bank. Yeah, but you need to have those relationships already in place. And then you could go at that bank. And then when they start doing it, you go back to that bank.
Yeah, they'll bring different supervisors in and change their underwriting processes. And it's just natural over the course of years for that to happen. So if you have multiple contacts, it only helps you get where you need to be, especially if you have a deal coming up and or say that person's on vacation or something happens and you can't get an immediate answer. To have that fallback plan is big on some of these deals where you have to move quick.
And are you guys working with local banks or
Yeah.
larger? Local?
Local banks. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, we found that to be a lot better too. Just to instead of dealing with a big bank and all the big processes, just the local bank where you have a couple people to go through versus 10 people that have to approve things seems to make it go a lot smoother.
Yeah. And then, like with your flips, are you guys using hard money, or are you using those banks, or are you using your own money? What does that look like?
I've never used hard money. I don't know. Did you ever?
No, in the past, when I have a line of credit that I've established with the bank, and I will use that 90% of the time. But a couple years ago, when I was really going crazy, then I had to utilize some hard money lenders as well. And so now I've even started to dabble myself with hard money lending with certain investors that I feel comfortable with. So I started doing that myself, but mostly it's just a line of credit.
I brought some money.
I want to give him any.
Real quick about that lending money, because I was thinking about lending money too. How do you feel about it? Were you nervous? Is it like, I don't know. Someone asked me and I was thinking about it. I did once before. It was only $50,000. He's give me 50, I give you 10,000 back. I'm like, I'm going to the bank right now because it was in 30 days, it's gonna be 10 grand. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I
Yeah.
gave it and I'm like, I don't care. I have everything in writing and I got nervous. I'm like, I'm never doing it again. When he paid me, I was excited, but I
Sounds
said,
like a high risk because I would never.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I don't know, man. I ain't doing that again. And then I was just recently thinking about it. Someone reached out to me and says, hey, you want to fund my flip? Well, yeah, I don't know. Do you
Yeah, I think
charge
it
points?
depends on the person. Like the few times that I've done it was with the same person who I felt really comfortable with,
Yeah.
where I knew that nothing's going to happen. But if you're doing it to some Joe Schmo that you don't know, then it's a little nerve-wracking. I'm not as comfortable doing it in that case.
Yeah, because I always say, oh, you know what? I'll just take the house over. It'll be mine and I'll finish the flip. But
Yeah.
I'm like, nah,
I know somebody that just lost like their life savings lending to somebody, and the house burnt down, and
yeah, that's what I worry about.
yeah, they had no insurance, stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely risky. I recommend if anyone does want to lend money, they should know who they're lending the money to. And
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, if you get somebody that's done it over and over again, you're probably pretty safe. But yeah, So right now you guys are mostly. So are you acquiring like the last couple of years? Have you been acquiring stuff?
Last year, I'm at the point now where rental wise, I'll only buy something if it makes sense. Like if it's close to another property I have, or I'm kind of at a point now where it's a good number for me to manage. So I'm mostly focusing on flips, and I don't flip a ton of houses. I might do maybe 4 to 6 a year, and I'm pretty happy with that. And I've been laying low. I know Dino, he's looking to ramp up a little bit.
Hey, he wants to buy a community.
Yeah,
That I
yeah.
want. Let me know when you guys do that.
If we did get a community, that's one that we would probably hand off to a property manager.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's definitely what we would.
Especially if Dino's going to still work full time.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Well, how
Why,
much?
Dino? Why have you like? Because you probably can quit, right? You probably are financially good. Why have you stayed in your position?
I think that's the $1 million question. I don't know. My wife tells me I can't retire. She's like, you're not sitting home. But now I really like what I do. I know that's crazy. And you talk about this word freedom, and Kevin has freedom and does whatever he wants. But for me, I have freedom, man,
I
because
see Mike at the gym every day.
Yeah, I see. I see him in the morning. I'm like, hey, don't forget podcast tonight.
yeah, I have freedom. And I think the when I became best at my job was actually when I became really good at real estate too, because it wasn't about me anymore. It's all about my people. So I just have a good time with my team. They're winning, they're succeeding. I'm trying to get them to a spot that they want to be at, that they could really have a good life for themselves. For me, it's not work. It's fun still. So the
Yeah,
day it's not fun, then that's the day I probably hang it up.
You
But
feel good because you know what? If you don't have to worry about your job. If
yeah,
your job says, "Hey, Dino, I don't need you no more. Get out of here." You're like, "I don't have to be here for 20 years."
yeah.
Realistically.
a lot
It
of people get into the business because they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna chill on the beach and like work from the beach and stuff." And I think the people that are really successful at it, that's not their goal. Their goal is just to create more value
Just
for.
knowing that you could, I think, is the
yes.
best thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
And you
that's the
feel much
best
more
thing.
relaxed at work. It's not a big deal, and you're getting a good paycheck. You
Yeah,
like the people around you. Do you mentor any of them kids?
absolutely, man.
You know,
Absolutely.
you should get them into real estate.
I can't do that, but if they asked, I could help them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So how'd you actually get Kevin into it? You were just
Persist.
his boss at that point, and you said, "Hey, dude, you gotta do some
I
real
wasn't
estate."
his boss at his point. We were peers. Yeah, we were peers at that point. And I don't even know because I think because I right around the same time my little brother. So I don't remember how I got Kevin into it because he just kept asking me stuff. And I'm like, he's just got to pull the trigger. But I remember convincing my younger brother. I can remember we were down in North Carolina. We were on vacation and we were on the beach. And my wife and I were telling him like, hey, I think I might have had 7 or 8 properties at the time. I'm like, dude, you got to do this. Look at it. And he's, no, it seems too hard. I got to deal with people calling. I'm like, dude, this is not hard. And for him, the way I laid it out to him was like, hey, wouldn't you like to make enough money that you could pay your mortgage every month and not have to worry about that coming out of your work money? And at least that's my mentality is once I had enough to pay
Sure.
my mortgage, I'm like, all right, cool. Now, could I get a car payment out of that profit too? And I'm like, and then it just kept turning into a business. But I think that's how I convinced him to do it. And he's never looked back too. He's doing good.
Oh, yeah. How many doors he have? We should have
He's,
brought him
pro-
on.
he's probably in the 20s.
I
Oh,
think it's
wow.
close to 30. Close
Yeah.
to 30. Yeah.
That's keeping it family at least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people complicate it. You guys just did it. You just did it.
Yeah. We didn't know any better.
Yeah.
If we would have known more, we might have been scared. But
Have you
What?
guys
Sorry, go ahead, Mike. Go
No, it's
ahead.
all right.
Do you guys see, like you just mentioned, you would have been scared. Do you guys see anything in the real estate market that scares you right now? What do you think about the market? Because values have went up a lot more than when you guys started, and we talked about that a little bit. But do you see any bumps in the market or anything? Are you worried about anything?
I don't know. I know people always say interest rates and the economy and all this stuff, but I really, after you take a look at the history of real estate, I really don't think you have much to worry about. You have 2008, 9 where you had a dip and then it went right back up. And outside of that point, there really hasn't been not a steady flow of the upward trend with it. So yeah, you're gonna have different challenges that present itself, but at the end of the day, I think as long as you're acquiring properties and you can afford it, it's gonna be a win. I think the biggest mistakes I've had in my career are the properties I've sold. I've sold too quick, or I'm like, man, I wish I held. Even the Lake Harmony one, we did well on it, but now we would have done even better. And Dino's purchased some properties for me that he's made out pretty well with, and I haven't.
He owes me. He owes me. He's still not done. He still owes me.
So I think the fears, like with stuff, starts to really diminish as you keep purchasing and get more experience.
I don't think I have a fear because I think we're really strict on our margins. So it's not emotional. I don't need to have 800 doors or whatever that number is just to say I have them. If it doesn't hit my marks, we don't buy it. And that sucks because there's some years that you only buy a couple properties. But I think if you stay true to that, you're going to be fine. I think what I'm scared for other people is that I see what they're paying for them. I see what they're renting them out for.
Yeah.
And those margins are slim. So I guess it makes us happy because eventually they're going to fold and then you can buy them. So I think for us, not that you hope anything bad happens, but if there's a downturn, then that's where we come in and really clean up and buy
Get to
more.
buy again. Let's go.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
where we're back in the game. Yeah.
They say, what is it? A recession is like a yard sale for an investor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They say when there's blood in the streets, even if it's your own, you need to go out and buy. So
Yeah.
I believe that. I hope for that day. I'm not afraid of it. I hope for it.
I know too many investors. We'll see them bleed and I'll feel bad, but I don't know. I'll just build new.
No, I sold my rental portfolio. I've got 3 units left, and it sucks. Like I just did it this year, like the last 12 months, and it like hurts inside. But I did that to get more money to flip, and it's hard to rebuild that rental portfolio. So, what would you guys suggest for me if I'm trying to rebuild my rental portfolio? And should I reach out to a bunch of agents? Should I get connected with wholesalers? What should I do?
I think the same thing you're doing to get all your flips, you should just use that same strategy to get rentals because you have the ability to get a lot of properties that most investors don't, so you're getting your hands on a lot of deals. And from what I hear anyway, your strategy is working with the flip part of things. So I would just use that same strategy and you can build it up quick from that standpoint. Now, the average investor, it's a lot tougher and it's going to take a little bit longer,
Yeah.
They're overpaying.
Just for
Right.
people that are listening, so I go off market. We're basically only off market. We go directly to sellers. We contact them and get a hold of them any way possible, and then we see if they want to sell. So you think that's probably the way to
I think
go?
that's a huge advantage. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Get them before Kevin gets them.
That's right.
Once it hits
It's
the
really
market or you're
once
in
they talk
trouble.
to a realtor, they promise them everything.
So you guys are in the Northeast PA market strictly?
Yeah, pretty much. It's 95% Luzerne County, and like we did with Lake Harmony, Keurig Township, we'll do those things if some good opportunity presents itself like that. But I think there's a big advantage of really honing in on a small little area, just becoming an expert in those little towns. It gets a lot harder if all of a sudden now you're going to a different county where you don't really know the market as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that's the strategy that I've used. Now, other investors that are a lot more successful than me do expand when they buy all over the place. So I think it just depends on the person. And that's what I found too. Like me and Dino are pretty similar, but we do have our little things that we look for. But I'm friends with several investors that focus on large multifamily or focus on just flipping. And they look at so many different things that I would never do, but they're still successful. So I think it really just comes down to what you're comfortable in, what you're comfortable doing, and just doing that. Because there's not one path to being successful in real estate. It's really whatever you're most comfortable in, from what I've seen.
So there's no rules, Ed. There's no rules.
I don't think so. Not that I know of.
I don't think so either. I do agree with you with knowing your area because when I first got started, I was listening to Bigger Pockets a lot, Brandon Turner, David Green, and David Green was talking about investing remotely. Like he had a book, Long Distance Real Estate Investing, and he ended up getting all of his properties stolen. Actually, he had 40 units out of state, and somebody took them all because he wasn't there. But so I recommend, like for me, I know because I've seen people come in and buy stuff that I would never buy. And like, how do you know that without being there and knowing the market really well? So for people getting started, I do suggest they invest locally in their market. But then you run into the issue, like if they're in Denver, Colorado, it's $800,000 for a house. Then you're stuck going somewhere else. But yeah, I agree with you, Kevin, there. So what do you guys think the next couple of years look like? Is it just flipping, just taking it easy, looking for some multifamily, making your own portfolio better?
The idea is just to stay adaptive, right? Because if the prices start coming down, then we're going to be back into the long-term rental game. I think if interest rates come down, then you're back into the flipping game. I just think you got to just see what's going on. And I'm not saying chase it. You almost want to get ahead of it if you could, but trying to see down the road, but just staying open to anything. I think that's probably what's the most fun now is that you have the ability to do that.
I agree.
Now, Kevin, you're like you said, a realtor. You're not active though, right? Are you? Or
I'm pretty active. I'm not crazy active, but last year I did quite a bit of transactions.
Don't let him be humble. He was like top salesperson
No,
at your
I
office.
was, no, I was like fourth or fifth, I think.
This guy makes money on me when I buy my properties, when I sell my properties.
That's why you keep them around.
Yeah, that's a good setup.
Yeah, that is a good setup.
And I'm a realtor too, and I don't even do it. I give him it, so I don't have to do it.
What do you see the market like? Are houses staying on the market a lot longer now, or the prices are starting to go up? What's going on?
I don't see as many bidding wars outside of your popular areas, those areas that have always been strong. In
Yeah.
our areas, you got your Crestwood, Dallas school districts where it's still, you're getting into a little bit of bidding wars there. But overall, I don't know, have the exact numbers on days on market, but it's definitely up from what it's been.
So they're going quicker, or are they taking a little longer?
It's taking longer
Yeah.
as a whole. Yeah.
Yeah, my last one, we put it on, and it was a nice house, man. It was not saying because I did it, but it actually came out really good. And I was getting nervous. I'm like, this thing hasn't sold yet. It's like almost 30 days. And I think we just got spoiled that everything you just throw it on. And
I
it would
really
just
think we
sell.
did.
Yeah,
I think we did.
And we sold it within 40 days. It was under contract, which is a great number. But I was like, whoa, that sucks. Let's think about that.
Yeah, because that matters.
Yeah.
That was almost the last house I ever listed for Dino because he was on me every day for a whole month. Why isn't this thing sold yet? What's going on?
You expect
What
things
kind of
out of your
marketing you're
realtor.
doing?
You
You're
ask
my
him
realtor.
questions.
This is your job.
Oh
Moral
no!
analysis, Kevin.
Oh
But
no!
he's there to collect the check at the end.
Yeah.
He showed up for closing.
Yeah.
Who are you an agent with, Kevin?
I'm with Century 21 Signature Properties.
Okay,
Out
and
in
you cover all of Luzerne County?
Yep.
Is that Hazleton?
Shavertown.
Shavertown. Oh, okay.
Up there.
Yeah, that's right back here.
Yep.
They had a little office right off the main highway there.
Yep. Yeah. I've been with them for about 5 years now.
Okay.
I got a question for you once we're done here on a property in Harvey's Lake. Maybe we can work on that.
We looked at a house in Harvey's Lake and it fell through about a month ago. That would have been our first one up there.
Really?
Which
Yeah.
one? Because I was at one.
Oh, there was one that sold at a tax sale that we were looking at.
That's one we wanted bad.
I think a lot of people were looking at
that had a
one.
lot of issues.
Yeah.
but
So
then-
that the guy that bought it, is it an A-frame? So the guy that bought it, we all know him,
Yep.
right? I'm not gonna say his name. So he called me 2.5 months ago, wherever he got it. So I went up there. He didn't even have the. He doesn't have anything yet. He's like, Mike, here's the lockbox number. Just go in, give me a price. And yeah, he wanted too much.
Yeah.
It's nice inside though.
Yeah.
It needs work.
There's some water issues in the yard, supposedly.
Yeah.
But
The
that was a
deck-
bidding war. That was the first tax sale I've been at in a while, and there must have been 10 people bid on that.
Do you know what he
house.
paid for that thing?
$575, I think.
That's what he paid.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tax
Yeah.
sales. There's somebody in
This guy buys a lot of property, Jake.
Yeah, you told me about him.
Yeah.
There's like a course going on where people are teaching Luzerne County tax sale, Lackawanna County tax sale.
Wow.
So it's gotten really competitive. It's crazy.
I made a big mistake at a tax sale.
Let's hear this.
And that's why I stayed away from
This
for a
one's
little
pretty
bit.
funny.
So I went with a partner, and we looked at the property address was listed. We had a number that we wanted to be at, and basically anything this was like going on probably 6 years ago, and anything around 50 to 80 grand we would have been happy with, and we ended up getting it for 17 grand. So we were thrilled. After the tax sale, we went to the house just to check it out, and when we got there, the guy was still living there. And he was out going to get his mail, and we saw him, and we said, it was awkward. But hey, we actually just bought this house. And he's, what are you talking about? You bought the house? I'm like, yeah, at the tax sale. I said, I pay my taxes. What are you talking about?
Wow.
So then we end up taking a look at the property again in the listing, and it turned out that the parcel ID number was different than the actual address. So we bought a crick behind his house. So it wasn't his actual house. And luckily, my partner registered it in his name, and we didn't pay for it yet, so we ended up backing on a deal. But then he was banned from tax sales going forward.
Oh, they banned him.
They
Wow.
banned him. Yeah, if you
Yeah,
don't pay, if
you
you
get
don't pay one time, you're banned.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I guess lesson learned is you got to check your tax ID numbers. Don't just go off of the address and think it's
Kevin, you're not
correct.
the only one that did that.
That happens a lot. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
because they don't know that they have to double check all this stuff because the numbers doesn't mean it's going to be that address.
yeah.
You have the local government handling things. They're not going
Yeah.
to be right. Yeah. You guys both mentioned you went to college. Dino, what did you get a degree in?
Business administration. Yeah.
So you're both business majors. Do you think that's helped you? Right now, a lot of kids are thinking about going to college or not. Do you think that's helped you in your career?
No, I don't.
I think if I was a kid now, I would think twice. I don't think college is necessarily the best route to go. I personally am a big fan of trades and entrepreneurship type of things. Now, if you want to be like a doctor or a lawyer or something, then that's different. But if you're not sure what you want to be, I think what I would recommend is just go after whatever your passion is. Even if it's not going to bring you all the money that you want, it's something that you're going to be happy in. And there's such a need now for, we see it, you see it, I'm sure, electricians, plumbers.
Think about what you pay your plumber. What I pay a plumber here. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
like all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think college is necessarily the.
I don't think it hurt us in our journey.
No,
I think it
back
kind
then
of
it was
aided.
different.
Yeah, I think you needed to go. There was a means to an end, and that you had to do that to get to where we needed to go to be
Yeah.
able to get the money to get into real estate a little bit.
if
Yeah,
you didn't have your degree, they don't hire you at that company without
exactly, yeah.
It worked out for us. It
Yeah.
did. But it's not the answer for everybody anymore.
No.
I think what you're saying, Kevin, is the trades are just severely lacking. There was a statistic I read that every 5 people that retire, there's only 2 people to replace them right now. And it's been like that for the last 10 years. One of the reasons I dropped out of college is because I was writing a research paper about the construction industry. And I read all these surveys about where they interviewed all these millennials. And the millennials said if you paid them 250K plus, they still wouldn't do blue collar work. For whatever reason, they just refused to do that. So I dropped out of school and got into blue collar work.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah. So I think anybody listening to this, if you're thinking about going to college or trades, definitely consider the trades for sure.
I think that most of your tradesmen will actually benefit more. They'll make more money than a college educated person, unless you specialize in something. But I think their upside is really big today than it was when we were coming up.
I think most of the degrees that you can get today, AI is going to be able to do your job for you. So I think trades is going to be a good option.
Yeah, I'm interested
Absolutely.
to see how AI does with even the real estate part of things with the marketing aspect.
Yeah.
I think that could be a game changer.
Yeah, we're already using AI to have conversations with sellers and stuff. And so it's definitely headed in that direction. I think there's always going to have to be people involved, but I think paying 100, 200K for a degree just doesn't pencil anymore.
No, I agree.
You don't get that ROI. What were you about to say, Mike, before?
I forgot. I just started thinking about AI now. My mind just goes. You guys have any final words? We've been on for a while. Anything else you'd like to say? Any advice you could give somebody starting off that something that you might have that you learned now that you wish you knew in the beginning when you first started investing or anything like that?
I think for me, it's just find a mentor. I think I didn't have one. I should have looked. I think that would have made my curve even shorter. But I think that's the best piece of advice: is find a mentor. They'll walk you through it. Give you the best fighting chance to be successful.
Yeah, he stole my answer.
That's why I went first.
And that's why I enjoy doing it. I enjoy being a mentor. I've helped several people, and if I didn't have mentors like this guy
You have to say
and I'm not even gonna say his name, but and other people, I want to be where I'm at today. And one thing that I found is investors want to help other people. There's certain things that they're not going to say, but 90% of the time they're going to give it all away, and they're going to do whatever it takes to help the person out. I don't think it's as cutthroat of an industry as a lot of industries are out there. So find that mentor. You need it to get that advice and to get those contacts. It's gonna take you a long way. And even I know there's classes you could take and different seminars that are also helpful. But I think just that one-on-one connection is really even more important. Reach out, join a Facebook site, go to meetups. That's how you're gonna make those contacts, and it's definitely what helped me out.
100%. Do you guys have any podcasts, books that you recommend?
I don't.
Our podcast is him and I talking in the morning.
Now you're on the Mike and Jake show, so you guys could.
I listen to WILK every
That's what I listen to too.
Do you?
or every day. Yeah, Bob Cordaro and
When you working
Sue
out?
Henry. What's that?
When you working out in the morning?
No, I have a workout album for that.
Oh.
But outside of that, yeah. But the bigger pocket stuff and that is obviously a good thing to listen to, but just never something that we did.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. I think your story is pretty awesome. It's a great example of you guys didn't really think a lot about it. You just did it. You just made it happen. A lot of people get scared to pull the trigger, and you guys are a great example of you don't really have to be scared. Dino, you did your first deal, seller finance. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's cool as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want anybody to get a hold of you? If anybody wants to reach out, maybe they have a deal, maybe they want to use you as a realtor, Kevin, how can they get a hold of you? We'll start with Dino.
Yeah, you can reach out to me at anginoproperties@gmail.com. Just send me an email, and I'll definitely get back to them.
And I am old school. I am krk141@hotmail.com, or send me a message on Facebook,
Or MySpace.
MySpace, and Monster.com. Yep.
He still has his profile.
We'll put the MySpace links in the description. I'm just kidding.
There we go.
If you want to get a hold of Dino and Kevin, all their info will be in the description. And we really appreciate you guys coming on.
Thank you.
I'm
sorry.
for having us.
We're sorry it
Appreciate
took 2 times to get you on.
Yeah.
Jake.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
That was Jake's fault, that one.
He was closing a deal though, so
Yeah, he
I
was.
didn't put it in the calendar, so
It always comes back to me, but it's all right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. It's the Mike and Jake show. Thank you, Dino and Kevin. And that's it.